Chord voicings. How do we know what to play as a second guitarist, when to play it, and what kind of modifications or variations do we want to use to be a little more creative? So we're going to take the key of C, something simple we've looked at, the 1, 5, 6, 4 progression. Okay, C, G, A minor, F. So, our acoustic or electric rhythm player is going to be playing the 1 chord, right? Typically right here, this open C chord. So the first thing I'm thinking as a guitarist or a musician, think caged system, alright? C and then the next following letter, A, alright? I want to play the C chord using the A shape. So now we're covering a little bit more of a higher range, but if you listen to the sound, if we focus on the bottom 4 strings, 3 strings, and then we go back to our open chord, we're covering some new ground here, but the highest note that the acoustic player is still going to be covered in that shape. We only have that one additional note on top that's going to be layered, so it's not going to be too much wider of a sound. And then we also have that C note there, which is played right here. So, of course, there's different voicing here or different variation, different inversion when we use the A shape versus the C shape, but we're not covering too much more territory. So now think C, A, G. Alright, well, G shape for the C chord, it's going to be right here. And now I'm not going to hurt your fingers there, I'm not going to force you to play that full G chord, but we're focusing on the bottom 4 strings for this reason, because if you're the second guitarist, right, the notes that are used on the bottom are typically going to be covered from the rhythm guitarist, from the acoustic or electric guitar already. So if I'm playing 4 strings down, right, we know we have the G shape there, and then of course you can add on a little variation there. If we're in the key of C, we can do some variation here by going, we can move that pinky off to that B note and then back to the C note. Then if you've got nice stretch fingers, there you go, you can do that. There's another one. You could go to that G note right there on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Pretty neat. So there's some modifications I'm doing. But here's the thing, if we look at the notes we're playing, we're already playing that note in the C shape. So we're just covering this additional note right here. So if we have a rhythm or acoustic guitarist playing this chord, we might as well just be playing a single note melody right there. So what about the next one? C, A, G, E, alright? E shape. Let's play the C chord right here. We're over the 8th fret. So now we're getting some more of a range here. Because these notes right here, these bottom strings, look at the bottom 4 strings particularly, that's the highest note. That E note on the 3rd string is the highest note that we were playing in the open chord. So now we have 2 new notes here that we're expanding to. So it's like we're playing that riff on top of this, which is really pretty. And if you take just your 3-string shape there, or if you add in the 4th finger, the 4th string, let's just take the 3-string shape. Well, look at that, the variation there. You can go to the 10th fret of the 1st string, and then why not the 12th fret? And then if you feel brave, you can go to that minor shape there, that E minor chord. But since it's in the context of playing a C, just think of it as a modification. And that's all I'm really doing with variations or modifications. It is simply traveling to a nearby note on one of the strings that's within the scale. So for example, we could go to the 10th fret, because that's now the D, the 2 note in the C major scale. And then the 12th fret was the 3 in the C major scale. And then, if we're going to the 2nd string, I could go to the 10th fret again. I could even go just just really quickly maybe bounce to the 12th fret of the 2nd string, because that's a B note right there. But I want to be careful I don't create too much half note dissonance there. I might typically mute that 1st string if I do that shape. And then, if you felt brave, you could travel to that E minor shape there. But I'm thinking about it as a C chord still. It's in the context of the C, because we're thinking, okay, we're playing the 1 chord, the rhythm is playing the C, and then I'm just doing variations there. And then something racing ahead a little bit here. Oh, what did I do there? So I went up to the C shape, alright? So I was playing the E shape here, and then I traveled to the C shape, or the D shape, if you will. You can think of it as, if I played E, I went to the next letter up on the caged. E to D. And that's racing ahead. Simply, we're going to talk about that next though, because now if I go C, A, G, E, D, C chord, the bottom 4 strings, check this out now. I'm basically playing an octave higher on what the rhythm's doing. So now I've created a much wider voicing. If I have one guitarist playing this, and I can now go, and then I can go back to the minor shape right there too. That's a G major shape right there, A shape right there. So there's some variations there for your C chord shape. I like to typically go create an octave with the 4th in the middle, or the 5th, depending on how you look at it. And that's simply playing, if we're on the 12th fret on the 1st string, I'm stretching my finger to the 15th fret. Ooh, and then 17th fret. And then I could go 13th fret, 1st string. And that's gonna be the C, E, 4, 3, 4, 3. So, see what I'm saying? When variations or modifications are being defined here, it is going to a nearby note within the scale. That's what makes this, you can be very creative once you get the hang of this. So that's how, or that is what I would do if I was playing in the key of C. I would play probably up here in this range as the 2nd guitarist, using those shapes that we just looked at. And then of course, if you feel like you're ready, you can start using the 4 strings, which was basically what I was playing there, and then I added on an extra octave, or the C chord, but on the bottom 4 strings. But start out using just the 3 strings for now, bottom 3 strings mostly, because you'll still be using additional notes from what the rhythm guitarist is doing, and you'll have more flexibility and a much easier time playing modifications or notes that are nearby, because the rhythm guitarist is already tackling most of what you're doing on the 6th, 5th, and 4th string, no matter where you are on the neck. So that's our 1 chord. Now, what's our 5 chord? G. Alright, so same process here. Caged, C, A, G, E. E chord shape, G. Alright, then what's next? D. Here we go. G chord using our D shape. What about C? Going back to the beginning of caged. So now we're nearly in the range that we like to play as 2nd guitarist, right? Finally, A, alright? There we go. So we look at the original chord now. That highest note there that we're playing is now the highest note right here. One of the lower notes that we're playing, the lowest note, that we're playing with the bottom 3 strings. And we got some 2 new notes right here that can stretch out the sound. And that's the same as the G shape we're looking at, right? Well, the G chord using the A shape. Some variation there, alright? So, what would I do? Wouldn't really worry about the 4th strings yet. I would play this. You put your first finger back on the 10th fret. Play that note, the A, which is the 2, and the G chord. You can do that. You can get a little funky, like. That also helps. Is something I'll do is I'll do some palm muting, or not palm muting, but like just some dead notes. Muting with my left hand. Because I'm going to that E minor right here, which is barring the 12th fret. Another variation. Take my pinky up to the 13th fret, 2nd string. And you see how this all begins to overlap, because I'm traveling now up to when I was playing my C chord, my 1 chord. And then we can continue traveling around the shapes that are nearby. It's really cool. So that kind of summarizes what I'm doing for my 5 chord now. What about the 6 chord, A minor? Alrighty, well, hey, caged, right? Now remember we just learned 3 shapes for the minor, but let me show you what I'll do here. So I'd think caged, alright, well, what's next? G shape, right? Okay, so this is G, this is the A major, and we were playing. Remember how the G is also using the A shape, like we talked about, and you're seeing that now. So if I was to play your G chord, your G shape, the A chord, it would still be, we just flatten the 3rd, and then it would become that instead of this. That would be the major. So we're breaking it up, and it still ends up being the A shape. So that's why we skip over the G one. So we go A, G, E. Alright, well, we have an E minor shape, right? Right here. Okay, let's look at the bottom 4 strings. Better yet, bottom 3 strings. Key of C. We can travel up to the 7th fret, 1st string, 8th fret. And what do you notice? This is similar to what we were doing with the G shape on the C chord. So just a little bit of how similarity there, you know? But we're gonna keep traveling down a little bit more. So you had, what was that? G, E, that was the E shape. And what about the D shape? Ah, here we go. D minor right here. Okay. This one takes a little bit more getting used to. This one, when doing modifications, you don't really have to worry about too much modifications. Honestly, guys, simplicity can sometimes be better. If you have just a slow, maybe just one modification, going back to the chord and then stepping away from it for 1 second, or, you know, just a couple counts. You don't have to get real crazy with it, like, you know, you don't have to do that, especially with what I'm playing a lot of in modern worship. You do not have to overplay. It is not about you. But that is what I'm doing there. I can go to the D minor shape. So, and if you look at it now, theoretically, what do we have in the open chord? That's our highest note, right? And that becomes the lowest note on the D shape. So we're adding in 2 additional notes here. But now if I want to keep traveling up higher The C shape is going to be, so remember how like G uses the A shape, C uses the D shape. So, and what I mean, hey, if we go to the major shape, for example, or we play A major, well, if I play the C shape now, we're right here, versus D shape, and we're just making it major because we've looked at major chords for all these more so. So, the only difference is that fourth string goes here in the C chord and here in the D. Okay, so that could be a cool modification. If we're playing minor now, we flatten the third. We go from 2, and it's in that one string. But it's also going to be in the fourth string. So we're going to go from da, da, and that becomes your C shape right here. That is 10th fret 4th string, 9th fret 3rd, 10th fret 2nd, and then finally, there we go. Yep, 8th fret 1st string. So, same as the D shape, the D minor shape, quote unquote. You're just changing that one note on the 4th string. So it's the same shape. That's why we just use the 3 minor shapes, okay? Now A minor, we looked at this chord here, right? So when we were going the D shape, we could look at the variations we had where I was going up to the 10th fret now, finger arrangement, a little bit different. Well, it's like how we did it with the 3 string shape right here, the bottom 3 strings. I'm putting my pinky on the 10th fret, 1st string. I could do 12th fret, so now I have that cool shape that I was using on the 1 chord, remember? It's like a stretchy octave, and then with the 5th or 4th. So, shapes. It's all shapes, man. That's what I'm thinking about here. And then, hey, you have next one up right there. And that is an octave higher than the open chord that the rhythm guitarist is probably playing, right? So experiment around, travel to notes that are nearby within the C major scale as you're playing these. That's all I'm doing. I've just been doing it for a good bit of time, so it's very second nature to me now. It's just, I can do it somewhat in autopilot because I've memorized the relationship between those shapes that we've looked at. But everything that I've taught you and then obviously the practical way to put it into music is going to come with time. That's going to come with you just fiddling around, checking stuff out. But you can take this example I'm using in the C chord and apply it to another key. That is definitely going to work. Which means we have just one more chord to cover. In this example, it's going to be the 4th chord, the F major. Alright, so we're using the E shape, right? Well, hey, what's next? C, A, G, E, D. Here we go. D shape right here. Some variations you can do. But we're going to travel up a little higher, right? Because we're playing. We can collect some more notes there, and then we can walk it up to that shape right there. But what's next? So E, D, C. All right. F using the C shape. But remember, same thing as the D shape. Just the 4th string. Placement's different. Travels up 2 steps. Okay, so D, that's the C shape. A, alright, where's the A shape right here for the F chord? Looking at the bottom 3 strings. Do that, shift them around. You can go back to the 8th fret on the 2nd string. Get up to the 10th fret, 1st string. Alright, we'll go up to the 13th fret, 4th fret, 1st string. And that is all within the C major scale right there, those little stepwise motions we made in each shape. So, okay, I'm not gonna just leave you hanging there though. I am gonna also show you what I would do if we were playing the not so common chords, right? The 2, the 3, and then of course the 7. I'm not really gonna play diminished shape, to be honest. It's too much. You're not gonna do it in a lot of pop music, so leave that out. I'll just play the 5. I'll play, you know, if we're playing that G7 shape there, it's good to just play that, you know, I just pick like a 5 shape right there. So that's the D shape, playing the 5 chord. Walking it up. Went up a few shapes there. The A shape, the G shape, sorry. Yeah, the G shape or the A shape we're using. Yeah. So that's just an example there. But okay, so what would the 2 chord be in the key of C? D minor. Alright, so how would I do some variations here? Well, just follow the rules of, you know, stepwise motion away. I could go to the 3rd fret in the 1st string. Go to the 5th fret. I'll typically just hang out if I'm thinking about a melody, I want it to ring out mostly on the bottom strings, the highest note. And that's with a lot of chord melody too. It's a good rule of thumb because the melody is going to be contained in the highest range of music, and then the lower notes are typically going to be backing that up as harmony. It's just a good rule to abide by, especially when I'm composing or arranging a lot of chord melody fingerstyle arrangements. I'll throw the melody in the top, and then I'll have the middle voices, you know, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th string carry a lot of just harmony. And then of course the bass, I'll try to carry that on the top 2 strings. But if we're the 2nd guitarist here, we don't have to worry too much about the top 2 strings, obviously, as we looked at. You know, I taught it to you what we're doing with the open chords, which is cool. But then if we're noodling around, we can also worry about the notes that are not being played, not being used to create a wider range of melody. So pretty neat. And that's what I'll do. Now remember, minor chords had different shapes, right? So we could play D. What was after that? We went to C, which is using the D, and then A. So what was the A minor shape? We have then to D right here. So you could play the 2 chord right here as well, using A minor shape. Yeah, so. Yep, you can go to the 7th fret. And the 8th fret is the C note. So this is B, C. A, B, C. You go up to 8th fret maybe on the 2nd string. You can go back to the E note on the 2nd string. I don't do too much modifications with these chords though, the ones that are not as, what's the word I'm looking for? The important chords are going to be your 1, 5, 6, 4. When it comes to the 2 or the 3, the 6 is good too. It's very common. It's because it's how, if we have what's called the minor key, well, the relative minor is, if we're in C major, A minor is where we get the minor key from. We start the minor keys from the 6th scale degree of a major scale. And so that's why the 6th chord is very popular. It's how a lot of these old timers would compose, right? You know, the Mozart, the Bachs, they would write so many songs in the minor key. And all that meant was the major scale starting or focusing, pivoting around the 6th scale degree. So A. That's why the 6th chord's important. Now the 2 and the 3, I'm not going to do too much variations on them because you don't want to, they're gonna not be as important. You don't want them to be as climactic as the other chords. It's best to just keep it really simple. But like I said, when it comes to playing simple modifications, you could just go to 1 note away, like what we looked at. Like that, for example. I wouldn't go to the B probably, because it's the 7th. It's like a little too tense. It's adding more tension to an already somewhat tense chord possibly. But you could go to the C tempo. Or that G. So for the 2 chord, we had D shape, the lowest one, we had A shape, and then finally, E shape right here. This is a lot more practical right here. I like this one. You go to that one right there, you go to the E note, you even go to the F note. You can go to that C note there, 13th fret, 2nd string. Go back to that major shape. What's that? That's your F major chord right there. So that's some example right there of your 2nd chord. What about your 3rd chord? What's that going to be in the key of E? Sorry, what's that going to be in the key of C? E minor, alright? I can hang out, 12th fret up, but let's follow the shapes up, shall we? So E, what comes after that? D, alright? Here's your D shape, E minor chord. So variation. I could walk to the 5th fret, 1st string. I could walk to 7th fret, 1st string. That's what I'll typically do with this minor shape here and for the 3 chord. It's going to take a little bit of finger placement there, but yeah, that's something cool. D shape, alright, C shape uses that shape there, and then what about A shape? The next one in the minor spectrum. Right here. B note, you can go to your C note on the 8th fret 1st string. You go to your D note, 10th fret 1st string. 2nd string, you go to A note, 10th fret, 2nd string. That's basically summarizing what I would do there. If you're looking at your modifications and variations for your your 1 through 6 chord in a particular key, the key of C. It's the most simple. So now it's going to be your job to move that to the key that you are playing your chords in. It might be G, might be D. So have fun with that. And thank you guys so much. I hope this course has helped you out tremendously. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. I would love to help you out, give you some more examples. There is going to be a lot more to come. Supplemental information, some etudes, some practical examples of how I use these shapes in other keys of other progressions, and I would love for you to jump on that bandwagon and let me help you, let me teach you. So thank you guys.